This pleasant meadow is surrounded by remnants of stalagmites, each casting a finger-like shadow over the fields, and it is occasionally marred by the mark of foot of weapons. Aside the plant growth, however, the area seems curious still. The stillness bears a hint of the unfriendly eyes watching. The broken stalagmite rises from a sea of knee-high grass, casting shadows to the southwest. There is no wind here to stir the grass, and as there are small creatures that scamper about and have learned to do so unobserved for the races of men, there is nowhere to hide on this wide sea of grass. The shield fortress reaches a good 60 feet into the air, curving around the eastern side to form a jagged L, protective crenellations top of the stone bulwark on all sides, allowing the fortress defenders to stand against foes from all directions. At the foot of the fortress, cradled in the curve of an L, a gnarled and twisted oak has taken root, its branches rising a mere 20 feet high. Shield wall, granite edifice, stretches across the southern border at least 100 paces long and easily 10 times the height of a man. Its immense outer bulwark was long ago planed and polished into a darker crenellations. Its shadow brings back the echoes of the rest of the cavern, dark since the structure's size blocks all sources of light, save the hints of the twilight that slip around the edges. Nothing grows on the rough expanse of rock sand that stretched out beneath the shield wall of the darkness. So, from what I can gather, this entire stretch of the dungeon is still caves, but they're foresty illuminated caves. An underground forest is what you've been going through. That has plenty of creature-made towers. Malachi's lair, the shadows cast against the encampments of the plateau bind the great support columns, swallow the light for several feet to either side of the opening of the rock, so the tendency of the eye to exaggerate the light between them is understandable. Second look suggests something more. The smaller pillars that flank the opening cast shadows that point the wrong directions to be cast by the central sun. On even closer examination, the pattern of the light on the stone ripples gently in response to the merest breath of the lucent columns seem to have been shaped to suggest a myriad of shapes, only with the palette of light and shadow. The cavern itself is a wonder. Paleosued columns shimmering in the soft luminescence. Columns of the cloudy alabaster have caused a master touch into fantastic shapes, revealing the hidden treasures within. The ceiling, a good 15 feet high, is followed by tissue-thin fans, gold-veined stone. A nymph is caught in the midst of an eternal bath in rippled crystal, her hand outstretched. A bird, the palmer mage, limed by the pigments of the stone. A delicately winged fairy dances, suspended only by ribbons of stone as fine as a silk. I just have no idea what I'm saying or reading right now. This is a real low point for getting through level 19 of D&D. Plateau Coral. Tableland slopes gently upward to southeast. At the very edge of the darkness, the gentle slope takes a sharp upturn and abruptly becomes the cavern wall. No fences disturb the gentle, wavering grasses of the plain. The only boundary is created by the failing light. The plateau is large enough to allow a large herd of creatures to roam free, but a quick glance reveals a few winged beasts, clearly not enough to carry the full garrison. Nixie River mouth. Here, where the river pours into the lake, the ground is soft and marshy, the footing uneven. The fishy, unpleasant odor of the lake is much less noticeable here, replaced with crisp, clean scent of freshly running water. And Riol's Grove. The trees in this grove are old, gnarled, and twisted, and their canopies overhang the clearing, blocking the light. Thorny vines wrap around the ankles of the unwary, and bramble bushes grasp with needle fingers at legs and cloaks. At every step, dried leaves crunch, stones turn beneath the feet, and the branches whip at unprotected eyes. Like none of this makes any sense, really. I don't really build anything in my mind from reading this. I feel like I probably already read too much. So you take the secret escape tunnel. This tunnel is small and claustrophobic, and only the faintest hint of light creeps in from the far end. The rock walls are rough to the touch, and the ground is uneven, requiring careful attention to one's feet. You make it to Sithis' lair, Sithis' lair. The warm air of the chamber reeks with mild decay and simple neglect. Lengths of translucent hide peek out from beneath small piles of sand and grit scattered about. Some of it has surely fallen from the walls, but far too much can be accounted for by that explanation. A few elongated bits of furniture are also present, quite obviously not designed for human use. Sandpit. A thick reptile scent clings to the moist air here. The rocky floor slopes down until ultimately gives way to dark, fragrant sand, too warm for most humanoids to be comfortable. The heat makes the room seem far more claustrophobic than it truly is. Messy hall. This corridor is strewn with junk. The length of the hall reeks. The disorder hasn't quite crossed the line from the messy to the filthy, but it's well on its way. Steam vent. The air in the room is wet with stifling steam rolling to thick clouds near the ceiling. Office. The small room is built along the lines of a storeroom, sparingly designed and sparingly furnished. The ruler straight walls and sharp corners are hallmarks of dwarven precision, but a simple knotwork design carved at the joint of the floor ceiling speak to elven sensibilities. Rickety shelves line the northern and eastern walls, and battered desk sits a few feet from the southern wall. The western wall is shrouded by a heavy moth-eaten tapestry depicting a scene from an elven legend. Storeroom. Temple hall, cold pantry, Grithang's room, dwarven common room, dwarven barracks, tavern, dwarven forge, armory and sale, quarters, elven barracks, guard patrol, volcanic mud pit, elven barracks, Grey Render's lair, fairy revel, unpleasant sprites. Anyways, I have no idea what that part was all about. The Tree of Life just sort of seemed like a bunch of random, nonsensical noise that I couldn't really build anything out of. In the Tree of Life, it didn't seem like there were any encounters. Everything was just sort of plants.